Today we're looking at the life of Henk Rommy, a figure known for his ruthless rise in the criminal underworld. Known as the Black Cobra, Rommy's story is one of power, fear, and the lengths he went to establish an empire that traveled continents. From his modest beginnings in the Netherlands to becoming one of Europe's most feared drug lords, Rommy's path was marked by ruthless ambition and strategic moves. What drove him to such extremes, and how did his decisions ultimately lead to his downfall? This is the story of Henk Rommy, the Black Cobra, whose name remains in the shadows of the underworld. Henk Orlando Rommy was born on March 4th, 1951, in Paramaribo, Suriname. He was the second child in a large family with 5 sisters and 3 brothers. In 1954, when Rommy was just a young boy, his family emigrated to the Netherlands, part of a larger wave of migration from Suriname to the Dutch mainland. His father, a civil servant, moved the family to Leusden, where they settled into a working-class life. Despite the challenges of adjusting to life in a new country, Rommy's early years were relatively stable. His family emphasized the importance of education and hard work. Rommy attended Don Bosco, a Catholic boys' boarding school known for its strict discipline. He performed well academically, particularly excelling in technical subjects. After completing his schooling, Rommy earned a diploma in metalworking from a technical institute in Utrecht. With his diploma, Rommy left the Netherlands for Switzerland, where he found work at an aircraft manufacturing company. However, the low wages and the lack of opportunities for advancement left him disillusioned. Disenchanted with his life in Switzerland, Rommy returned to the Netherlands, but by then his ambition for quick wealth had taken hold. Despite his family's efforts to steer him toward a stable life, Rommy found himself drawn into the world of crime. Rommy's first steps into the criminal world were modest, beginning with petty theft and small-time burglaries. He quickly expanded his criminal portfolio, dealing in stolen antiques and second-hand cars. His agility and cleverness earned him the nickname the Black Cobra. He often boasted about his ability to escape tight situations, claiming that he was so skillful that he could slip through a keyhole. This skill was put to the test when Rommy managed to escape twice from police custody during pre-trial detention. However, his luck didn't last long, and in 1974, he was sentenced to 12 months in prison for a series of crimes, including a stamp robbery. By the late 1970s, Rommy's criminal ambitions had grown. He became involved in the trade of stolen artwork, including a Rembrandt painting, which led to a 3-year prison sentence in 1977. Rommy's time behind bars only deepened his connections in the criminal world, and upon his release, he returned to the streets with a renewed determination to climb the ranks of organized crime. The 1980s marked a turning point in Henk Rommy's criminal career. While his early ventures had been focused on theft and trafficking stolen goods, he soon shifted his attention to the more lucrative world of drug trafficking. Rommy began smuggling hashish from Morocco into Europe, working closely with corrupt law enforcement officers in Belgium to protect his operations. His connections and strategic planning allowed him to build a significant drug trafficking network that stretched across Europe. In 1984, Rommy was arrested in Morocco for drug trafficking. True to his nickname, Rommy managed to escape, but just before he could board a boat to Spain, he was betrayed by a fellow criminal and recaptured. Rommy was considered a high-flight risk and was held in a death cell for 18 months. However, fortune smiled on him once again. In 1986, on the birthday of King Hassan II of Morocco, Rommy was granted mercy and released, allowing him to return to the Netherlands. Back in the Netherlands, Rommy wasted no time re-establishing his criminal empire. He teamed up with Johan Verhoek, also known as the Stammerer, a major player in the Dutch drug trade. Together, they expanded their operations, importing hashish from Pakistan and distributing it across Europe. Rommy's influence grew, and by the early 1990s, he was at the peak of his power, controlling a significant portion of the European drug trade. In 1993, Rommy celebrated his success with a lavish wedding party on an island in the Loosdrecht Lakes. The guest list was a who's who of the criminal underworld, and the event was a blatant display of Rommy's hate for law enforcement. Guests wore T-shirts emblazoned with the letters DEA, mocking the American Drug Enforcement Administration. It was clear that Rommy felt invincible, but his arrogance would soon catch up with him. That same year, Rommy was arrested again in the Netherlands on suspicion of smuggling thousands of kilos of hashish from Morocco. However, after a year, he was released again because the Public Prosecution Service had forgotten to report that they had been doing secret surveillance operations. Henk Rommy's nickname, the Black Cobra, was well earned. He was known for his cruelty, and those who crossed him often faced swift and brutal consequences. His operations were not limited to drug trafficking. He also dabbled in arms dealing, money laundering, and other illicit activities. His criminal empire extended beyond the Netherlands, with operations in Belgium, Germany, and even as far as the United States. In the mid-1990s, Rommy became involved in a high-profile trial against his associate, Johan Verhoek. During the trial, Rommy testified that a key witness, Fuad Abbas, was involved in the heroin trade, a revelation that turned Abbas against Rommy. The trial exposed Rommy's criminal network's inner workings, but he continued evading long-term imprisonment. In 1999, Rommy was arrested again, but this time his luck was beginning to run out. In the same year, the Justice Department warned Rommy that a Yugoslavian criminal group, led by Momo Popovic, was plotting to kill him after a botched cocaine shipment to England. The following year, Popovic's girlfriend was killed when her car exploded, and Rommy was suspected of orchestrating the attack. However, no concrete evidence was found linking him to the crime, and Rommy remained free for the time being. By the early 2000s, Henk Rommy had become a high-priority target for international law enforcement agencies. In 2004, Rommy's luck finally ran out when he was arrested in Spain at the request of the United States. The charges against him were serious. Rommy was accused of being involved in a plot to smuggle millions of ecstasy pills into the United States. Extradited to the United States, Rommy faced trial in New York. It turned out that a business partner that he worked with was actually an undercover agent who had recorded all their conversations, and the evidence against him was overwhelming. In September 2005, he was convicted by a federal jury of conspiring to import over $20 million worth of ecstasy into the United States. On January 17, 2006, Rommy was sentenced to 20 years in prison by the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York. Henk Rommy spent nearly 17 years in a federal prison in the United States, far from the luxury and power he once enjoyed. His incarceration was a stark contrast to the life of excess he had known in Europe. The exact details of his imprisonment remain largely unknown, but it is clear that his time behind bars forced Rommy into isolation and reflection. In 2023, Rommy was released from prison and returned to the Netherlands. However, freedom did not mean the end of Rommy's legal troubles. Upon his return, he was arrested once again for a prior conviction from 2001. He was also implicated in a 1993 double murder involving a diamond dealer and his girlfriend in Antwerp, a case that had resurfaced during the passage trial in the Netherlands. In late March 2023, Rommy was acquitted of these charges, but his reputation as the Black Cobra remains intact. Rommy's legacy is one of violence, power, and betrayal. His ambition and ruthlessness propelled him to the top of the European drug trade, but his empire eventually crumbled under law enforcement pressure. Despite his release from prison, Rommy's life is a stark reminder of the destructive consequences of crime, leaving scars on communities and demonstrating the high cost of the pursuit of power. In the end, the story of Henk Rommy, the Black Cobra, highlights the inevitable downfall that comes with a life of crime. Thank you for joining us to learn about Henk Rommy's life. If you found this story engaging, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.